Hey everybody, it's Ron from Pick Dawgz, and this is Ron's Rundown. We're going to go over the MLB games scheduled for Friday, September 1st, 2023. Now, if you like what you see, make sure to give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to put your baseball picks in the comment section below. And if you're looking for my best bets, including my $19 rundown best bet, you can find those at the Premium Picks tab at pickdawgz.com. Alrighty, let's get into it. Here are the games for Friday in Major League Baseball. First up, the Miami Marlins taking on the Washington Nationals. Yuri Perez and Jake Irvin are your starters. To me, the values with the Nationals in this game, I think Yuri Perez is the better starting pitcher for sure, but we saw the same pitching matchup last week in Miami, and that was a 3-2 win for the Nationals outright. I know the Nationals have been more profitable on the road this season, but Irvin went 6 innings of one-run ball in that game. He's actually been slightly better at Nationals Park this season. Yuri Perez has struggled away from home, giving up an ERA of 4.02. He pitched well in that game against Washington. I wouldn't be surprised to see him pitch well in this game as well. But, laying this kind of price, minus 180, minus 170 on the money line, I just don't see the value there. This Marlins offense has been inconsistent. The bullpen has also not been very trustworthy lately. Give me the Nationals here at plus money. Next up, the Seattle Mariners taking on the New York Mets. Logan Gilbert and Kodai Senga are your listed starters right now. Kodai Senga has been pitching well at Citi Field this season, a 2.64 ERA and 75 innings of work, 94 strikeouts as well. He's in good form. His last 5 games, 3 earned runs or fewer in all those games, usually going 6 innings or more, so usually quality starts there for Senga. And Logan Gilbert on the other side, he's been pitching well on the road this year, 3.47 ERA and an 8-1 record. 83 innings of work, 77 strikeouts, not too bad there. The control's been good on the road. He's in good form. His last start against the Royals, not an easy matchup because he faced that same lineup twice in a short span of time, and the Royals have actually been pretty good against righties in the last month. But Gilbert went 7 innings of one-run ball with 7 strikeouts. You got a very strong Seattle Mariners bullpen. Give me the under here in Mariners-Mets. Next up, the Tampa Bay Rays taking on the Cleveland Guardians. Tyler Glasnow for Tampa, and Cal Quantrill returns to the mound for the Guardians. Now, before the injury, Quantrill was really struggling for Cleveland, gave up at least 5 earned runs in his last 4 starts at the Major League level, and those were some blowout losses for Cleveland, 6-0, 8-5, 10-1, and 8-1. I can't back Quantrill here. I do think he'll be better than what we saw before the injury, but still, he is somebody that, wasn't really my favorite type of starting pitcher to back. He's more of a pitch-to-contact guy, doesn't really miss a lot of bats, but his control was off when he was pitching before the injury, giving up a lot of sharp contact. He's a very tough matchup here against one of the tougher lineups in the American League against righties in Tampa Bay. And Tyler Glasnow, he's been sharp this season, 3.12 ERA overall. His last start, 6 innings, a shutout ball against the Yankees. The Rays are 4-1 in his last 5 starts. Give me the Tampa Bay Rays here on the run line. Next up, the Minnesota Twins taking on the Texas Rangers. Joe Ryan and Max Scherzer are on the mound for this one. We saw the same pitching matchup last week. That was a 6-2 Rangers win. Both pitchers in this matchup pitched well in that game. Joe Ryan went 5 innings of 1-run ball. Scherzer went 7 innings of 2-run ball. But Joe Ryan was at home in that game where he's been much better at Target Field than on the road. Away from home this season in 59 innings of work. Ryan's got a 5.01 ERA with 15 home runs given up as well. It's a tough matchup here on the road for him. I think Scherzer pitches well in this game. He's in really good form for Texas. Since the trade, he's been pitching very sharp and 3 earned runs or fewer in his last 5 starts. So mostly quality starts because he goes deeper into ball games. Good strikeout numbers, keeping the ball on the ground, good control. Give me the Rangers here on the money line. Next up, the Boston Red Sox taking on the Kansas City Royals. James Paxton and Jordan Lyles are your projected starters. I'm going to go with the over in this matchup because, James Paxton, even though he's a lefty and the Royals have not hit lefties very well in the last 30 days, I just don't like what I'm seeing from James Paxton as of late. I know he's faced some tough lineups in the Dodgers and Astros, but in his last 2 games, 8 1/3 innings of work, 10 earned runs, 11 total runs, and 13 base hits with 2 homers and 8 walks allowed. His control's been off. He's been giving up a lot of sharp contact, a lot of home runs and extra base hits. Now, he struggled mostly actually on the road, believe it or not. At Fenway Park, he's been better on the road. He's got a 4.67 ERA, so I think he struggles here. The Red Sox bullpen also in the last month, an ERA above 6. So I don't really trust it there. Kansas City, Jordan Lyles, we know he's got an ERA above 6 overall this season. He was starting to pitch a little bit better in the second half of the season. Since the All-Star break, he was pitching a little bit better, but now his last game, 7 earned runs against the Mariners. Before that, 4 earned and 6 earned against the Cubs and Mariners again. The Royals are losing 15-2, 10-8 in some of his starts recently. Give me the over here at Kansas City, Boston. Next up, we see the Detroit Tigers taking on the Chicago White Sox. Eduardo Rodriguez and Touki Toussaint are your starters. I think Rodriguez is certainly the better option on the mound, but I just trust this White Sox offense more right now. Both of these bullpens have not been great, but the White Sox facing a lefty here in Eduardo Rodriguez, even though overall this season Chicago doesn't have the greatest numbers against lefties, we know in the past couple of seasons this has been one of the best lineups in baseball against lefties, and they're starting to improve those numbers in the last month. So Rodriguez giving up 4 earned runs and only 4 2/3 innings in his last game against the Astros in that blowout 9-2 loss. I don't love the form he's in, facing a tough lineup, and Tuki Toussaint, he pitched well in his last game, 5 innings of shutout baseball against the Athletics. The White Sox are 2-1 in his last 3 starts. He's been inconsistent this year, but I think he's good enough against one of the weaker lineups in the American League. Give me the Chicago White Sox on the money line in a lean. Next up, we see the New York Yankees taking on the Houston Astros. Carlos Rodon and Justin Verlander are your starters. Now, in a season that's been full of disappointment, at least the Yankees fans could be a little bit excited for Friday's game. It looks like Jason Dominguez and Austin Wells, 2 of the top prospects in the Yankee organization, are set to make their major league debut after they were called up on Wednesday afternoon from the minor leagues. And Dominguez has been one of the more highly touted prospects in baseball the last couple of years. In terms of this game, I still think the Astros win it pretty comfortably. Justin Verlander pitching well. The Yankees offense has not been great against right-handed pitching. Carlos Rodon has struggled this season. He's facing a very tough lineup in the Houston Astros, a lineup that crushes left-handed pitching. They've done so basically all season long. And, we see, you look at Rodon's last 4 games, 5-2, 9-7, 2-1, and 7-4 losses for the Yankees. He's given up a lot of sharp contact, at least 1 home run his last 4 games. The control's been bad. Give me the Houston Astros on the run line. Next up, we see the Philadelphia Phillies taking on the Milwaukee Brewers. We're going to see Zach Wheeler and Freddie Peralta on the mound. Great pitching matchup here. Now, I know the Phillies are number 1 in baseball in team OPS against righties in the month of August, but Freddie Peralta is in great form right now. His last 4 starts giving up 2 earned runs or fewer. 2 of those games were on the road. 2 of those games were at home. He's been pitching better at home this season and in his career. Good strikeout numbers, 9 or more strikeouts in 3 of his last 4 games. Good control, keeping the ball on the ground. Zach Wheeler also in pretty good form, and he's also facing a Brewers team that's not been great against right-handed pitching in the last month. So I expect a low-scoring game here, a pitcher's duel. I don't think either of these starting pitchers are going to get a decision in this game. I think it's going to be a close game late, and if that's the case, the Brewers have the better bullpen. So I think Milwaukee gets the job done, but I'd rather take the under here. Next up, the Pittsburgh Pirates taking on the St. Louis Cardinals. Mitch Keller and Dakota Hudson are your starters. Mitch Keller has struggled away from PNC Park this season with an ERA of 4.85. He faces a tough Cardinals lineup that's hit righties well in the month of August. On the flip side, Dakota Hudson's got bad expected numbers, an unexpected ERA above 5. Facing a Pirates team, it's also got good numbers against righties in the last 30 days. For me, I'm going to take the over in this one. I think we see scoring from the, you could take the over in the first 5 innings because the bullpens have actually been pretty decent for both of these teams in the last month, but nonetheless, I like the over in the full game as well. Next up, we see the Toronto Blue Jays taking on the Colorado Rockies. Hyun-Jin Ryu and Chris Flexen are your starters. I think the value lies with the home team here in the Rockies. It's not going to be the most popular pick, but I think, land is kind of priced with Toronto, just not really what I want to do. With Hyun-Jin Ryu's career numbers at Coors Field, an ERA above 7 and a 1-4 record, I believe. He pitched there a few times, and he was a member of the Dodgers in the National League. And Chris Flexen, not my favorite starting pitcher to back, we know that, but the Blue Jays have struggled mightily against right-handed pitching in the month of August with bad OPS and isolated power numbers. They're also, Flexen's been a little bit better as of late. His last 2 starts against the White Sox and Orioles, one of those games at Coors Field, the other one at Camden Yards. He went 11 innings combined, giving up only 3 runs with 12 strikeouts, only 1 home run, and only 1 walk. So his control's been better, starting to miss some more bats. I think he's good enough here to keep the Rockies in this game. Give me Colorado plus the 1.5 runs at Coors Field. Next up, the Los Angeles Angels taking on the Oakland A's. Patrick Sandoval and J.P. Sears are your starters. I guess I would lean towards the Angels in this game because J.P. Sears has struggled in August and Sandoval's in good form. But, the Angels, both of these teams have not been good against lefties in the last month. In the month of August, the Angels are 27th in OPS and ISO against lefties. They have a 27% strikeout rate, a 6.7% walk rate, pretty low. And they just placed Hunter Renfroe on waivers, who's been one of their better bats against lefties this season. So I think Sears bounces back here a bit. I think Sandoval continues to pitch well. I think we see a low-scoring game in the first 5 innings. And, these bullpens have not been trustworthy this year, so I'd rather just take the under in the first 5 in Los Angeles, Oakland. Next up, we see the Baltimore Orioles taking on the Arizona Diamondbacks. We see Cole Irvin and Zach Davies on the mound. Cole Irvin's not my favorite starting pitcher to back, but in the month of August, 20 innings of work, a 2.25 ERA, and the Orioles are 5-1 in his start, so he's been very profitable for Baltimore. We're getting him at a decent price here against Zach Davies, who pitched well in his first start back from injury, but still has an ERA above 6 and an 0-4 record at Chase Field this season. I'm going to take the Baltimore Orioles on the money line. Next up, we go to San Diego as the Giants take on the Padres. No official starter for San Francisco. Could be a bullpen game for the Giants. Michael Wacha going for the Padres. Wacha struggled his last game, but that was on the road. He's been much better at Petco Park this season with a 2.21 ERA, a 7-2 record in 57 innings of work, and 55 strikeouts to go with it, which is impressive for a guy who's mostly known as a pitch-to-contact pitcher. Only giving up 5 home runs at home this season, facing a Giants team that in the month of August, one of the worst lineups in baseball against right-handed pitching. I think Wacha bounces back here. I think the Padres do enough offensively to win this game in the end. Give me San Diego on the money line. Next up, we see the Atlanta Braves taking on the Los Angeles Dodgers, the final game for Friday's card in baseball. We see Max Fried and Julio Urias as your starters. Now, obviously, when you got two of the best teams in the league, it's always going to be a close call, but I do lean towards the Dodgers here because I think Urias at home this season, really tough to go against them. 8-1 record, 2.3 ERA, 67 strikeouts in 62 2/3 innings. His last game at home was against the Marlins on August 19th. 7 innings of one-run ball against a team that's hit lefties pretty well this year. And Max Fried, even though he's been pitching well himself, a 4-0 record on the road this year, 2.15 ERA. His last 2 starts a little bit concerning for me. He's only had a few starts since the injury, and he's been pitching pretty well overall. But his last 2 games, giving up 3 home runs combined against San Francisco, a lineup that we know has not hit lefties very well this year. A little bit of concern for me now going on the road, facing this Dodgers lineup. I'm going to lean towards LA on the money line. And that's it. Those are the games for Friday in baseball. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe. And don't forget to put your baseball picks in the comments section below. Again, if you're looking for my best bets, you can find those at Pickdawgz Premium. As always, this is Ron Romanelli. Good luck.